In the 4th grade, he essentially stopped going to school and officially opted for his GED at 17 years old. Few would have thought he would ever earn a doctorate, join the FBI, become a Green Beret, or become a successful entrepreneur. Apollo continuously took unconventional and sometimes counterintuitive steps to achieve his success. He extracted what he has learned as he reached milestone after milestone and distilled it into a system that helps others achieve seemingly impossible personal and professional feats. Apollo is the ultimate coach, consultant, and accountability partner to help high performers stay focused on the strategies and actions that they commit to. Today, Apollo will challenge each one of us to reach for greater personal and professional achievements in the service of the students, parents, staff, and faculty we all support. Please join me in welcoming both Brent and Apollo this morning.
All right, thank you, Laura. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Really excited to see so many faces here back in person, and that kind of goes into our theme, our Back to the Future theme, which you'll hear a little bit throughout this presentation as how that can tie in with this great event, seeing so many beautiful faces out here with masks on, but I can see your eyes, and you can get a lot out of people's eyes. So, Laura already introduced us. I'm really excited to kick us off. My kind of big announcement will be a little bit short, and then the rest of the morning will be dedicated to Dr. Amika here. And I want to say I kind of had a speech prepared a week ago that I was practicing for, I was ready for, and that speech, that presentation has been thrown out. We got something brand new for you, and I want to show you why. This was me practicing last night in my hotel room, getting ready for today's presentation.
All right, Brent. All right, so, tomorrow morning, Laura's going to do your bio. She'll do Apollo's bio, yada, yada, yada. All right, so hit it.
All right, great. All right, good morning, valued Aries customers.
Great Scott, Brent Lloyd! I found you! You don't understand, Brent. You've got to build the Aries of the future. Automation, climate change, artificial intelligence. Everything is different, Brent Lloyd. It requires a different type of student information system. I've loaded everything you need to know onto these zip disks.
Zip disks? Yeah, we haven't had anything that can read these for like 20 years, man. I'm gonna need something else like a...
I seem to have miscalculated the timeline. Of course, how silly of me. Here, go ahead. Jack in, Brent Lloyd. Where's your port?
We don't have those either. Do you have like a thumb drive or something?
Oh,
like
of course! Here.
No. I mean like, like a flash drive, like a, little small flash drive goes into a computer.
Of course. Here, why didn't you say so before?
There you go.
Here
Perfect.
it is. Here are the requirements for the SIS that will change the world, Brent Lloyd. You have to do it for California, for Texas, for the entire country, for the world, for the Martian colonies. I've said too much. I must go.
Wait. Is this the year that the Raiders won the Super Bowl?
Is this the year that they started 3-0?
Yeah.
I've said too much. Build it, Brent Lloyd. Build it for the future.
Okay. This is a flashlight. Guess we'll figure it out ourselves. So there you have it. Thank you. That was written and directed and largely acted by Dr. Apollo Amika. You'll see him a little bit later. But this presentation this morning, we'll be talking about the future of Aeries. I'll be talking about a really big announcement, thinking about the future of Aeries. But as I mentioned, he handed me a flashlight on a flash drive. So we had to build it ourselves. We had to figure it out ourselves. And the signs are there. If you look at Gartner's report produced 2 years ago, they talked about everyone needs to prepare for the eventuality where student information systems will be delivered in the cloud. Now, we've had a cloud offering for years, over a decade. We have a good amount. We'll talk about the numbers in a minute. But when you think about all the services, all the solutions, all the software that you deal with these days, most of it is browser-based. You're working through a browser, just like Aries these days. We don't have the client version anymore. You're working through the browser. And most of it's delivered behind the scenes through the cloud. Even in ed tech, you talk about your learning management system. You're probably using that through a cloud-based version that you don't have access to or control to the direct management of, but it's all running smoothly. It's going great. But student information systems, having been around for a long time now, 40, 50 years now, it's kind of a remnant of seeing people still have that installed on their servers, something that you have to keep updated, buy new hardware, keep up with. I talked about where we're going, and the future of Aries is in the cloud. Now, what does that mean compared to where we are today? Right now, about 62% of all Aries customers are already hosted by Aries software. We manage all of your updates, a lot of your third-party connections and integrations, all that fun stuff that you can now rededicate back towards your time at your districts to focus on other important tasks, rededicating time back to your students. So we already have a lot of people in the cloud, but where are we going? What is the difference between where we are today with our cloud offering and where we want to be? The Aries of today is cloud adapted. We have a solution that works great. We've shifted into the Amazon Web Services environment, AWS, no longer on our co-located environment, but we're shifting, moving people over into AWS to take advantage of all the great features available in AWS. But again, it is a cloud adapted solution. And so where we are going is towards a cloud native solution. Now, on top of that, we could have just committed to going cloud native. And what that means is that we are able to fully take advantage of the power of the cloud. We can maximize our security, which is supremely important with student data management. But we also can maximize our performance and scalability automatically, where we are having our system adapt to the amount of users on, the amount of disk space, the amount of the speed of the program itself, and actually automatically scale to give you a great experience no matter how many users are using the software. And that sort of flexibility is really important to have everyone have a great experience with their student data. But it's also about performance, it's about cost effectiveness, maintainability. It's taking advantage of the innovation of the cloud, things like machine learning and artificial intelligence that Amazon Web Services already has many access to within their system, and the ease of use for both the end user yourselves and for our DBAs that are working on and maintaining your system on the back end. And it is also about achieving a high as much as possible availability, uptime of the software itself. With Amazon Web Services, they have their high availability offerings that allow you to automatically hot fail over from one region to the next without anybody even losing access to their software, including during software updates. So your updates will be seamless. You will be able to continue to use Aries without any sort of downtime as we go through that. Again, we could have committed to all this without the second part of this, but the second part's really important too, our code restructure. We're not only restructuring our code and converting it over to work in a cloud-native environment, but we're tackling a lot of the things that might hold us back as we want to do things into the future. So that's like creating a longitudinal database, having 100% API coverage, implementing full testing automation, optimizing our code to capitalize on cloud native, and more. So with that, we plan to become the most widely used student information system to be designed and built from the ground up using cloud native technologies. And getting into some of those, thank you. Getting into those, some of those things, I mentioned the 100% API coverage. So that means every data point within the system will be covered through the API. And that means that you'll have 100% control and access to all of your data, even as it's managed within the cloud. And that helps with maximizing our interoperability, your work with third-party and integrations, making sure that our vendors are able to access any data that they need access to, that they can get to, and you can help give them access to through this new system. Again, I mentioned 99.9% uptime. That's that multi-zone hot failover that I mentioned through AWS, through a serverless design for high scalability, and with those seamless updates that I mentioned. Enhanced security, I talked about how important security is in our field. So this will allow us to be compliant with all sorts of security standards like NIST, industry-leading platform and software security. Throughout the entire software suite, we will be able to achieve a new level of security through the cloud native that we wouldn't before. And I wanted to address a common kind of concern that people have with the cloud and talk about what I mentioned earlier, the difference between a cloud-adapted and a cloud-native environment. When you hear about the sorts of data breaches or downtime or data leaks, those typically, almost exclusively, are with cloud-adaptive solutions because they are not optimized to a cloud environment to maximize security. And so that's the big difference here is we will be able to take advantage of the full availability of a cloud-native solution with security. The full testing automation is really important. So as we control your updates, those are able to go through a more traditional continuous integration and deployment process without you even having to know about it. But of course, we're going to keep you informed. We're going to give you all the information as Aeries is being updated in the product itself, in our blogs, in a lot of places. An important part is preventing bugs. Nobody wants to update if you're going to deal with bugs, with things that are going to lose functionality, that's going to lead to headaches for your users. And so full testing automation is one of the things that's really important about our code restructure and the way that we're breaking down our data to allow for testing automation, multiple levels of testing automation, from the unit testing to our UI testing to API testing, all sorts of testing automation that will allow us to eliminate the majority of the bugs that you might experience today. So that is a really important part. One of my favorite undertakings of this whole initiative is to prevent bugs from ever seeing the day of light for our end users. The longitudinal database. Right now you have a school year by school year based database in Aeries. This will allow us to have a longitudinal database that will allow you to access and analyze data across multiple years without having to change years, being able to see trends from year to year, which is really important as you're analyzing what's going on in your school district and also as you're going through your state mandated and federal mandated data analysis and going through creating your LCAP reports, creating all of your different sorts of reports that you need to see on a year-to-year basis. What are we improving on? What can we continue to improve on? And where do we need to make significant efforts from one year to the next? And this will also include refactored data models for better normalization. So being able to attack some of the things within our database now that we feel are holding us back and not allowing us to push into the future as we want to. And this last one is about extensibility. So that's both expanded within the product itself with your ability to customize data and reports, your queries, taking that to a whole new level, integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning into queries, and your data transformation tools. We're really taking that to the next level. That's our plans to move this forward. We're also introducing an online extensions marketplace of sorts, things that you might see in a Salesforce or in a variety of solutions these days where we will be releasing an SDK for people to be able to work with the API and create your own custom solutions and put those online, available for all of Aeries users to share and create things that we alone can't do alone. And so being able to expand and call upon the entire Aeries network with close to half of all Aeries schools using, or all California schools using Aeries, we'll be able to share all of your custom solutions, data validations, all sorts of great tools that will crowdsource together. And so from here, what we want to see from you is we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you in our open forum today and tomorrow. We want to hear from you through email and Aeries ideas. and we want to hear from you. If you are interested in applying for our advisory committees, we'll be meeting every 1 to 2 weeks for about 1 to 2 hours. You can apply here at aries.link/adv-apply. But more of this is available in Cam's session. Our VP of Product, Cam Iliff, will be presenting at our Vision for the Future class, and he'll go much more in depth than I'm going on any of these things. And so that will be your best opportunity to learn more about what the future of Aries is going to be, where we're going with our cloud-native code restructure, and more. So that is on-site today and virtually Thursday. The replay session will be available online for the Thursday virtual session, and that's available for everyone that's attending AeriesCon virtually or on-site, as are all of our replays through the end of this calendar year. So if you're not able to attend, if you already have a packed schedule this week, you can always catch the replay later throughout the end of this calendar year. And so the time is now. We're really looking forward to the future. We've got quite a bit of work ahead of us in the months ahead. We're excited to hear from you, to have you participate and help us kind of consider every data area within Aries, every process within Aries as we look to build it again and do it even better this time. So thank you very much. The future of Aries is in the cloud. You can play a part in helping us build the best Aries can be, and that will start with the conversations and your participation starting today. And so with that, I will be passing it over to someone else talking about the sorts of decisions you can make today that will have a huge impact on your future. And that is Dr. Apollo Amika, our high-performance leadership coach.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Am I on here? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Should I talk like this the whole time? Good morning, everybody. That's me, and this is me, and Doc Brown was also me. So I'm going to talk about forgetting the most important days of your life today and the secret of time travel. So we're going to talk about the secret of time travel, people. I'm about to break it down for you. You're welcome, okay? But before you can get introduced to these high-level concepts, right? If I just dump the secrets of time travel on you right now, your heads would explode, okay? So what we have to do is we have to do something that's even crazier than learning about the secrets of time travel before we do it. So that way when we get to the time travel stuff, oh, you're like, man, I did something way crazier than this at the beginning of the presentation, okay? So, you know, like they mentioned, my background is in Army Special Forces, and a lot of the ways that we train are you overtrain, you over-prepare for reality. So if I know I'm going to have to carry a 60-pound pack, I'm going to train with 100 pounds. So that way when I get to the 60, it feels lightweight. So again, this is kind of in that theme, okay? We're gonna learn some heavy stuff about time travel, but first we have to over-prepare for that time travel so that it doesn't seem weird compared to what we're about to do. So what we're about to do is, on this fine Monday morning, we're going to do a little bit of karaoke, okay? So I'm going to start singing a song, and then I want you all to sing the next line. I wrote a couple of songs down here just because I wasn't sure, you know, what kind of musical tastes we have in here. And I just want you to know, before you all start judging me, okay, nowhere in that bio, anywhere did it say I was a singer, okay? So don't be nice to me, okay? Don't judge me when you see me walking in the hallway, all right? It takes a lot for me to do this, okay? All right, so are you all ready for the karaoke? Are you all ready for karaoke? There we go. There we go. I know I saw people at the bar last night with more excitement than they got right now, so I know you can get there, okay? All right, so it's just going to be a quick one line, and then I want you to say the next line, okay? I want to rock and roll. Oh, all right, give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, you're still warming up. You're still warming up. You're still warming up. Okay, here we go. I think these are kind of in chronological order, okay? So we'll see. Maybe some people will start falling off. Maybe some people will start picking it up. No judgment. No judgment. You're not judging me. I'm not judging you, okay? They say 2000. Oh, my goodness. Prince is rolling over in his grave right now. I'm sorry, Prince. Whew. Okay, all right, here we go. All right. Oh, wait, you know what? This one, I should have put this one at the beginning. This one is definitely the first one, okay? The hills are alive. Hey, there we go. Okay. So that was the oldest one. That one might have got the most people. We're only going forward from here. So it might just be me and, I don't know, Sonia or something singing here in just a second. Oh, here we go. In West Philadelphia. Look at I know somebody in here knows the whole thing. Oh, this right here. No joke, I did not have my first drink of alcohol until I was 31, but this was a song that just made me feel like a happy drunk from the time that I was like 17 years old. It goes like this. I don't ever wanna feel. Take me to the place I love. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. All right, let's see here. I think we got, we got two more. Are you all ready? You feeling a little bit looser than when we started? Feeling a little bit, because just during the cloud stuff, you're like, what's the cloud? The head is in the clouds. Where am I? What is this? What's happening? Okay. Nobody, is there anybody in here from Texas? Yeah, we got one person? One person? Go ahead, stand up. Give her a round of applause coming all the way from Texas. She's the only one who's allowed to be jet lagged. None of you else have an excuse. Nobody else. Okay, all right. Give her a round of applause too. I love it. Okay, we got two more. Okay, I think you're almost ready for the heaviness, for the time travel. Okay? I'm like a bird. Oh, poor Nelly Furtado. Yo, there it is. Okay, listen. I know you all have like a casino night and some special stuff going up. Raise your hand right here. She's been singing every song. She's going to be the party, okay? Follow her. All right, last one. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Look at him! All right, okay, all right. Thank you, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Telling you, if you all are still in this room, the rest of the part is going to be easy, okay? All this is going to make so much more sense now. You know, like they said, I didn't do a lot of school growing up, and so I'm really nervous to present in front of a bunch of educators because here's what you're going to find is a bunch of typos in my stuff. But remember, this is a no judgment zone, okay? I'm not judging you, you're not judging me, right? There we go, okay. All right, so here we go. So forgetting the most important days of your life. When Brent came to me and said, hey, what do you think about presenting at our conference? I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's do it. I have this karaoke idea. And he said, don't do that. And look at me now. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, what am I going to talk about? They've got this huge, massive undertaking that is going on. We've got an industry, a sector that has just been completely rocked and devastated by this pandemic. What are we going to talk about? And I started thinking about, you know, what is important to us? What might be important to you all? And I started asking people this question of what have been the most important days of your life? What have been the most important days of your life? And I started kind of casually having this conversation. And then I took to social media, did a little social media story to ask folks, what's the most important day of your life? And this is some of the things that folks said. I don't know if you can see it, I'll give you a second just to kind of take it in. So if you notice, these answers, these responses, have kind of two common themes. They are either things that you have almost no control over, or they were things that were largely ceremonial, right? Like life, death, graduation, starting a job, these things that we can remember. And my wife gave me one of my favorite responses when I asked her what have been the most important days of your life. She said, most important or most memorable? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I think you're onto something. Because the funny thing about that first day at the new job, that graduation, right? The things that we can remember are often just ceremonies that are the result of decisions that we made way before that ceremony, right? If you don't attend graduation, did you still get your degree? Yeah, right? Like, the graduation is the ceremony. The marriage is the result, not of, unless you're on 90 Day Fiancé or Married at First Sight or something like that, right? Is the result of multiple decisions that you made sometime before that ceremony. But these are the things that the human brain is tricky in that we have to have these kind of anchors in order for us to remember things, right? We remember graduations, we remember weddings, but like, where was anybody on September 7th, 2018, right? Like, it's hard to remember unless there was something attached to that date. Back to the Future was all about really two things, right? It was about Marty making sure that he still existed. And it wasn't, he didn't go back to try to make sure that like their wedding went perfectly, right? It was this decision that he was trying to influence. He was trying to influence this decision and this what seemingly chance encounter. But his mom and dad had to decide to go to the dance. He had to decide to stand up to Biff. These things are the things that led to Marty's existence, right? Is the small decisions that we often forget about. We think the marriage is the most important day of our lives, when really, for Marty, this moment was the moment that led to him not fading away in that picture. So, here it is. Here's how time travel works. This is a super scientific explanation from a real doctor of policy. All right, so it goes something like this. Time travel is the power of hindsight plus the power of decision. That's it, right? They always say hindsight is 20/20. Looking back, your vision is always 20/20. You can always recognize, should have done it differently, could have done it this way or that way, right? So it's hindsight, but plus decision, right? So Marty's going back in time. He's influencing these decision points. He's creating decision points. So that is the secret to time travel. And you say, okay, well, that's all well and good, but hindsight means that you have to be looking back. So if you don't have the DeLorean, then how do you go back and influence those decision points, right? So again, it's looking at the end result, figuring out the stuff that led to it, influencing that stuff. That's time travel. That's time travel, okay? So, how do you make this practical? It's all about knowing the future event. It's all about knowing the future event. And one of the ways that you can know the future event is if you literally just decide what it's going to look like. You literally just decide what it's going to look like. That's it. So rather than being in the future, looking at a past event and all the things that led up to it, you can just have a crystal clear picture in your head of what this future event is going to look like. And then you just run through the process. Okay, if I'm sitting in this future event and by X date we have a cloud-native Aries that is just completely mind-boggling in terms of its ease of use and capabilities, right? We're sitting on that day when we have delivered the future of Aries to all of its users. And this is the type of experience that they're having. And this is the type of impact that it's making on students' performance, on social equity, right? Deciding right now gives you the ability to use hindsight on it. It gives you the ability to Monday morning quarterback and say, okay, well, if we delivered this mind-blowing product on this date, what happened just before that? What was the precondition just before that was necessary to result in that product? And then, let's just keep going back. What was the precondition that was necessary to meet that precondition? And what was the precondition that was necessary to meet that one? So if you can see here, the key is, notice how the numbers go this way, right? The key is to look backwards from the future that you have decided. So if the key to time travel is looking backwards from an event, then what is really important is that you have clarity around that event in your brain. And what that means is, if all these other things that most people can name when they think of the most important day of their life are just ceremonies, they're just results of decisions, then what that means is that today can be the most important day of your life because you can simply decide what the future is going to look like, and you can work backwards from there. So we'll take another Back to the Future example here, right? Doc gets shot. And I remember watching this scene when I was a kid and thinking I shouldn't be watching this, and being like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen, right? But so, okay, let's take that event. Doc gets shot. We know what ended up happening is this precondition of him putting on the bulletproof vest, precondition of him opening the letter, precondition of Marty writing this letter, right? These are all decisions that Marty and Doc made that influenced a future outcome, right? So Doc getting shot was the memorable event, but him getting shot was the result of a bunch of decisions that were made up to that point. So again, you influence those decisions, you influence the outcome. So I went ahead and I plotted some of my major life events according to the responses that I got from my friends and family on social media. And when I plotted those things, it's so interesting. I haven't really done this with my life, put my life on a timeline, but here I was born, 4th grade, came home from school. I was like, man, I hate school. My mom was reading, I don't know, the Poisonwood Bible or some big, thick book, and she said, she didn't even look up. She said, oh, we're thinking about homeschooling you. I said, wow, you mean in 5th grade I could just not go to school? She was like, you don't have to go back tomorrow. So that was the habit that I built, was just quitting and failing like everything that I did. And when I was 17, my mom passed away. Again, events that you have no control over, right? Like these are the things that we think of when we think of the most important days of our life. Got my GED, graduated. The first thing I ever graduated from was Army Basic and Military Intelligence School. It was the first thing I ever graduated from. Went to Iraq, came back, graduated college, joined the FBI, graduated Special Forces training, married my wonderful wife, sold my first business, earned a doctorate, my son was born, my dirter was born, my dirter. Anybody watch, what is it, Mayor of Easttown? Hilarious. Probably shouldn't be advertising that right here. Just kidding, don't watch it. Yeah, so my daughter was born, and these are kind of some of the major events of my life. And when I look at it, I can see how misleading this timeline is. Okay, and I'll talk to you about why that is right here. So this college graduation. When I thought about going to school, I was starting from like less than zero. Right? I had not the skills, the academic skills. I was not a confident reader or writer. So I knew that my path, if I was going to go to the school that I wanted to go to, that I couldn't just, toss my application in there like everybody else and just be competitive, right? By this point, I had probably been to 5 different community colleges and just done what I had known to do, which was quit or fail. So I wanted to go to a prestigious university, and I was just thinking, how am I going to do this, right? But I think being at this kind of deficit helped me because I knew I couldn't take a conventional route. So then I had to reverse engineer, okay, how am I going to get in there? How am I going to justify getting into a prestigious university when my academic resume doesn't look like everybody else's, and I straight up lack the skills necessary to be a decent student. So how do you overcome that? This is how, and this is not a March Madness tournament. This right here is how I think about organizing my life when I want something. This is how I try to help the organizations and the people that I work with think about organizing their time, resources, energy, mindset, is around collapsing everything that you do to get to a predetermined outcome. So this is just like the timeline that we were looking at before, right? But that outcome, you start with the outcome, and then you jump back, and you say, okay, well, what happened just before that outcome? How do I get there, right? And it's all about a narrowing of options, a narrowing of paths to get to that specific outcome. This is the exact opposite of the way that most people think. I bet big. I encourage those that I work with to bet big. You only need one path or one door to be successful. That's it. You only need one. But we stress so often keeping our options open. I'm going to drive the folks who are remote crazy here just a second because I'm going to skip forward a couple of slides. But this is how most people approach things. Most people start where they are. And they say, oh, hey, where can I go from here? And then they go take a step. And they're like, oh, now I'm over here. Where can I go from here? And then take another step. And what happens when you do that is you're actually creating more options as you go along which kind of disperses the impact that you can have. Okay, I told you this was heavy. I think that the karaoke helped a little bit. Imagine where you'd be if we hadn't done the karaoke first, okay? This is some theoretical stuff. I'm a real doctor of policy. So what you want to do is you want to not start from where you are and just think, what's the next thing that I can do? Because that could have you out in whatever, 16 different places, right? And where this really matters is if you are in charge of anyone or anything. If you're in charge of anyone or anything and you're thinking this way, what will happen is if you're a manager, then you might end up at the top of the bracket up here, and everyone on your team kind of comes out somewhere else, right? And so if you're not aligned all the way through and you're not collapsing your options as you get closer to the outcome that you're trying to generate, then it's going to be a mess. Okay? So I'm going to go back real quick. Yeah, that's how time travel does not work. All right? So looking at this, we've got, just like on that timeline, again, these preconditions. Can't get too close to that mic. We've got these preconditions that we've got to meet looking backwards. And if you're on a team, it's really important to paint the picture of like, hey, here's where we are going. Here's how we're going to stay on the same page. So I want to take a look at a couple of examples. Any X-Files fans in here? Yeah? Okay, a handful. This is over here, this is, you all, oh man. That's the party section over here. So the X-Files was my show, okay? When I was not going to school when I was growing up, I was watching TV. I was raised by the TV, and y'all, not even good TV, okay? I'm talking like, 4 channels, watching Little House in the Prairie in the middle of the day, waiting for Oprah to come on with my mom. I'm talking that kind of TV. But one of the shows that I loved was the X-Files. And I just decided when I was 13 that I was either going to be on Saturday Night Live or I was going to be in the FBI. I just decided. So if we go back to that timeline of me joining the FBI, post failing everything, right? We would have to draw a line back to me being 13 and just like, yeah, I'm going to find those aliens. It goes back to that. So the most important day was probably an episode of X-Files that I can't even remember. That is what planted the seed. That was when I made the decision, I am going into the FBI. And then I did a whole bunch of stuff that would not get you into the FBI, right? But I made it because I determined, okay, if I was going to get into the FBI, what would I have been doing just before that? And that's where the military came in. And I said, okay, well, if I was going to be in the military and I was going to use that to get in the FBI, what would I be doing? Oh, intelligence, cool. You get a top secret clearance, all these preconditions. So I was figuring out what those preconditions were, and it didn't matter that I had done 80 or 90% of the things wrong because I did that 10% right. I met the preconditions, and once you meet the preconditions of the future that you've decided, then it just comes to you. It just comes to you. Marrying Anissa. I met my wife 2 weeks before I graduated from college and shipped off to the FBI, basically. And I was at an event for Black and Latino students who were admitted to USC. So every year, the Black and Latino students that are admitted to USC, those who identify as Black or Latino, get an invite to come check out USC. And so I volunteered to help at this event, and the host for the event had bailed, and I was like, hey, I'm not shy, so I can host this thing. And I was up on the stage, and I saw this beautiful woman walking up to the event. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna talk to her. And so I went and I talked to her, and then man, 2.5 years later, we were married, right? So the most important day of my life wasn't the marriage. It wasn't the wedding. It was that the choices that I made led me to this event that aligned with my values, that aligned with my wife's values, that put us in the same place at the same time, so that we could then have that ceremonial thing years later, right? So what about Aries? What about Aries? So if Aries is going to be the Google of SISs, it's just going to be that thing that just works, and it works flawlessly. It delights all of its users. It promotes learning and equity among students. What are the preconditions that have to be met in order to deliver such a system? Well, if you're the Google of SIS, you've got mind-blowing product and support, right? You've got a next-level team. You think about the Googles, the Facebooks, the Apples. People are clawing to get into these organizations. They're just bursting at the seams with talent. And I've seen the same potential at Aries. But you've got a next-level team, and a precondition of having a next-level team is having an amazing culture. So when I started working with Aries, like Lara mentioned, over 2 years ago, that was one of the 10-year visions that they set, is to be the Google of SIS, to be among the renowned technology companies, to be in the same conversation. And so now here we are, 2 years later, on this stage announcing the preconditions that we're in the process of satisfying in order to get here. Could have just as easily been announcing something else or nothing at all. But this company decided what the future is going to look like. Reverse engineered it to determine what needs to happen in order to get there. Now we're just walking the path. We're just walking the path. And asking you all to walk the path with us. Help us make sure that we're meeting these preconditions, so that way we can hit this goal for the benefit of the users and the Martian colony. So what about you then? What about you? Some of the things that prevent effective time travel is just being on autopilot. It's following the status quo. If you follow the status quo, then you have a very predictable future, right? You're going to get whatever you've been getting. You're going to get whatever you have been getting. This pandemic caused a lot of us it shook a lot of things up. Caused us to completely reevaluate our lives. How do we want to interact with our families, with our friends? How do we want to interact with our coworkers? What do we want for our own children? What do we want for the students that we're serving? For everybody that in education that is just completely tapped out? What do we want? So that's a good thing that it has caused us to reevaluate, because now we're doing things differently. We're going to get different results. But you've got to be intentional about it. You've got to decide what the future is going to be, and then you've got to reverse engineer it. Right? So sticking to the status quo will kill your time traveling abilities. So I want you to think about, what is it that you can do differently. The other thing that will kill your time traveling abilities is lack of decision. Lack of decision will kill your time traveling abilities. It all hinges on deciding what the future is going to look like. And right now, sitting in this crowd, we've all got a bunch of open loops of things that we're just in indecision about. Am I going to get a new job? Am I going to get married? Am I going to get a divorce? Am I going to start working out? Am I going to go to karaoke tonight? I know what section's going to karaoke tonight. But we've got all of these open loops that are just decisions, and we're just waiting for the universe to come down and hand us an answer. Or we're waiting for one of these events in our timeline to just happen to us. That will kill your ability to time travel. It will kill your ability to time travel, being in indecision. So status quo and indecision are the enemies of effective time travel. So I want everybody right now to think about these open loops, these areas of indecisiveness in your life, in your personal life, your professional life. Think about these areas where you are in indecision. Think about the places where you have gotten just plain lazy with your thinking and you're just in the river, letting the current push you wherever you want, wherever it wants. What could you do today? What could you decide today that would make this the most important day of your life? So I want everybody, in the last 60 seconds here, to think about what is that? What is that? Just make one decision right now as an exercise in your brain about a future that you want to see for yourself or for your team or for your students or for your staff. What is that thing? Pick a point in the future. Pick a year. Decide right now. Decide right now what that future is going to look like, and then time travel it. You know what I want to do? In the last couple of seconds, what I'd like everybody to do is pull their phones out. So if you could, I want you to just snap a selfie with as much of the crowd in it as you possibly can. Because when this pops up a year from now in your phone, right, and reminds you of a memory, I want you to remember that, oh, that was the day that I decided. Okay, so we're all going to take a selfie now. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. You're amazing. Decide today. Decide. Go see Cam's presentation on the future of Aries.